Hey there, welcome. Still trying to figure this whole thing out. I think I had really good music going right there, but you couldn't hear it. So I just kind of let it run out. Hopefully you enjoyed some Nick Richards highlights. Still waiting to hear the word as whether Nick is going to return for his senior season at Kentucky. Or opt for the NBA like his young friend Kofi Coburn did a couple of days ago, which we talked about on what was that? Maybe Wednesday night with Kamani Friend. Anyway, thanks for checking us out. This is the Jamaica Basketball Project. My name is Rick Turner. I'm the head coach for the Jamaica national basketball team. I also head up the nonprofit organization called the Jamaica Basketball Project. And I just wanted to check in tonight during COVID-19 time and just see how everyone's doing and let you know what's going on with the program and give you an opportunity to ask any questions. I love doing this thing live. Partly because you can interact with people while you're doing it, but kind of the crappy part about trying to interact with people is if no one's watching, you can't get any questions. So I'll probably just talk here for a little bit and then send you off on your night. And I know that people watch this later as well. So one of the cool things I found out, we had Coach Plank on earlier last week, and that's up over 1,000 views for that. And so I know that people are circling back and watching these videos as they become available. And we appreciate that. And hopefully we can just kind of continue to build an audience as we go here and spread the word about what we're doing and ultimately, benefit the program as a whole. Let me just touch on that briefly, the Jamaica Basketball Project and what that is. As I said, it's the name of a nonprofit organization that I am heading up. Part of when I was hired by Mr. Gordon, Paulton Gordon, the president of JABA, and the rest of the committee, part of what they wanted me to help concentrate on is bring fundraising opportunities from the States to the program. So I started this nonprofit to reach out to people in the States and kind of let them know about what we're doing and the benefits of what athletics can do for kids and how it can strengthen communities and build communities and we're just trying to spread that message, and hopefully that will turn into some dollars and down the line we can improve the program from the top all the way down into the youth levels. One of the things that I'm super sensitive about, as you can imagine, is during this crazy unprecedented time, it's not a great idea to be going out with your hands out asking for money from people. So this is kind of a passive approach that I wanted to take just to kind of keep us in, I wouldn't say the spotlight, this certainly isn't the spotlight, but just to keep our organization and our name alive and active. And I know that people in Jamaica currently have an 8 o'clock curfew, as far as I know, unless that changed, but had an 8 o'clock curfew, and this gives you something to do at night. And as we go along here, that's the reason I started this live stream. And so as we go along here, the idea is just to, cycle people through that have interesting stories, and whether they're basketball related or whether they're Jamaican related isn't necessarily as important to me as something that could be entertaining and informational. And like I said, just looking for content and looking for things to do and keep yourself occupied. If Netflix runs out of programming, then this is something for you as well. So that was kind of the point behind it. And I wanted to kind of give you a little chronology of how we got here and how I got here and what makes me so excited about having this position. I was hired about a year ago to kind of spearhead this program, and I had a plan put together. And in fact, you can find that plan on jamaicabasketball.org. And if you go on there, I have a budget listed out. We have the plan itself, and you can go on there and read for yourself exactly what I gave to Jabba and some of my vision to bring the basketball program forward. Some of you are acutely aware of this because I talk about it a lot, and others of you who have no idea who I am, I'm just going to back up a little bit and let you know. I've been coming to Kingston, Jamaica for going on 21 years now, and I started with a program called the Jump Ball Basketball Program, and we've been doing free clinics and camps for kids in Kingston and throughout the island every summer. In fact, the Jump Ball Program celebrated its 25th year last year. So I got involved 20 years ago, and we were at St. George's our first year. We had about 60 kids. We had a handful of volunteer Jamaican coaches that wanted to come out and had an interest in basketball and wanted to either work with kids or learn more about the game or just wanted to play during our coaches' run at lunchtime. Whatever the reason was, they came out, and the camp slowly started to grow. And a few years later, we had to move it, or we chose to move it. We had the opportunity to move it to the National Stadium. And so now we have over 300 kids every summer at the National Stadium. We're on the outdoor courts there. We're on the netball courts. We have that whole area. And then we do, I think it's anywhere, it ranges from 6 to 8 every summer, camps around the island in various communities. And those are spearheaded by one of our assistant coaches, Rowan Robinson. And like I said, we have over 300 kids. We have probably 30 to 40 Jamaican volunteer coaches that coming out, giving their time to kids and trying to grow the game of basketball. One of the things that's become apparent over the last few years is that, we were kind of for a while the only game in town when it came to camps. And I think, just like coaches have coaching trees, I think our camp has a tree as well of coaches that have been through our program and have gone on to create their own community programs or take the template to what we put together with Jump Ball and take it to other places. And now there's numerous camps around the island, which is great for basketball. One of the things that has struck my curiosity over a number of years is just what is the perception of Jamaica basketball in Jamaica? And one of the things I know about it is that people are super, super passionate about the game and want to play when given the opportunity. They want more leagues and they want more opportunities and they want they want to grow the game, and I knew that immediately. But one of the things I wasn't really aware of is maybe some people who aren't on board of helping to make it great for the entire program. In other words, wanting to kind of do their own side projects, which is cool. I mean, ultimately, I think that the more basketball, the better. And so one of the things I wanted to do was try to reach all those different constituencies, if you will, and let them know. Not that I don't certainly speak for Java, but I know that in conversations I've had with Mr. Gordon and Mr. Natty and Remeke and Kevin and so many people that are involved with Java, that more is better, and the more people we can get involved, the better off it is for everybody. So that's one of the things over the course of the last year that I've tried to do is reach out to as many people, and I'm still trying. But I've tried to reach out to as many people as at least as I could get a hold of. I'm still in the process of trying to get a hold of different people and let them know who I am and what my vision is, and try to get them on board. And that was kind of the idea behind the Jamaica Basketball Project, because what I want to put together, or what I want us to put together, I guess, is something really unique and special, and something that's historic. So, when you look at examples of things that move you, whether it's music or athletics or art or whatever, when you're able to be a part of it. Uh-oh, hold on a second. Wait a second. Sorry about that. When you're able to be a part of it, it's even more special, and it's more rewarding for everyone that's involved. So my vision is to have as many people along for the ride as possible. We're not trying to leave people out or have them be outsiders looking in and at what we're doing and the great things that we hope to be doing. We don't want them to just be watching that. We want them to be a part of it. And that's kind of how the Jamaica Basketball Project was born. At least that's what, from what I'm doing here in the States, is that I want to bring people along with it. I want them to get excited about it. My perspective, obviously I have the Jamaica perspective of 20 years, and I also have the US perspective of basketball. And I know for me personally, while I certainly root for Team USA, to carry the flag and do good things, I don't feel a part of it. It is something that I watch from the outside, and I think most people are the same way. When the Olympics roll around or there's a game on TV, you turn it on, and whoever they're playing, you root for them, but you're not really a part of it. My vision is to bring people along and have them share in this unique thing. The opportunity to compete in the Olympics, the opportunity to compete at the most elite level on an international stage is something for me that is so it burns inside to want to be able to do that. And those opportunities for anybody don't come along all that often. And so I'm definitely not going waste this opportunity. And as I said, I want to try to surround myself as much as I can with people that want to be a part of it and want to celebrate in that. So that's kind of the Jamaica basketball project, and I'm going to continue once this whole quarantine situation is over. I'm going to continue to get out and talk to people and let them know what we're doing and try to get them to be a part of it and want to get involved and get behind us and root for us and as many people we can have rowing the boat, the more success we can have, and obviously the faster we'll go. Like I said, I put a plan together that I presented to the guys at Java, and you'll discover that I talk in threes a lot, and I'm gonna do that here tonight as well. But basically, that plan covered three areas. Number one was development, and that includes more operational development, players, coaches, officials. Number two is infrastructure, and number three is funding. And those three things have a parallel path. That I don't know that one is more important than the other. They're all sort of equally important, and if it's what makes it a challenging thing, because you can't put all your focus into development, and if you have no funding, what difference does it make? At the same time, you can't put all your efforts into funding, and if you don't have any players, what difference does it make? You can't, the same thing with the infrastructure and facilities and that. So they all kind of go hand in hand. They're all connected. You have to work on them all simultaneously, but they also all run kind of a parallel path. They don't intersect a lot. So we're doing that. From a development standpoint, I started off with what I think is an amazing basketball staff, and knowing the importance of uplifting our Jamaican coaches and giving them more opportunities to coach elite players, as well as a foundation to coach younger players. Ultimately, we want to be fielding a U19, a U17, a U15 team, and we need to have coaches in Jamaica that can carry those teams. So I hired Cleon Morgan, who is at GC Foster, and I met Cleon a number of years ago at Jump Ball Camp, where he was a camper. It was an all-star camp. And then I had a chance to work with him at Star Search the last 2 or 3 years. And the thing that stood out about him to me was that he is, number one, he's a worker. Number two, he's a no-nonsense guy. He's not distracted by frivolous things, not afraid of hard work. And so it was a pretty easy decision for me, with him being at GC Foster and me having an opportunity to work with him and just see the type of commitment that he has to the game, to know that he'll be a great part of our program. Nyron Hurd, Stumbo, many of you know. We brought Stumbo along. He was part of the U15 group. Was it U17 or U15? Well, you know which one. Anyway, he was part of the young kids that went to Puerto Rico this summer, and I've been working with him at Jump Ball for many years, and he's like the heartbeat. He's a guy that cares so much. He runs his own private camps and clinics for kids on Saturdays, and he's just continuing giving back to basketball every opportunity he gets, in that commitment to do it when it's not convenient, when it's not easy, is something that stood out to me as well. And so we're going to have him, in the group, doing as much, hands-on on the floor coaching as he wants to take. But he's also going to head up the video system for us. The video work's going to be huge. It's something that I don't know that has been a big part of Jamaica basketball in the past, but he's going to head that up. Opponent scouting, self-scouting, all of our video work. He's going to spearhead that, and as well as get on the floor and do whatever he can there as well. Damon Sullivan, Sully, who's up in Mandeville, brought him on. Again, another coach that has been with me the last couple of years at Star Search, and another guy I've got to observe. And kind of the same thing. His success follows him. Even though he's kind of in the country up there, a little bit isolated, he continues to turn out really good players, and he's dedicated to the game. And one of the things that he sort of took focus on this year at Star Search, so I paired him with Coach Plank, and they did some strength and conditioning work, and I know he's into nutrition, and so he's going to again, same as Stumbo, when opportunities present itself to get on the floor and coach, he's going to be doing that. But his focus is also going to be on that piece of it. And then the fourth Jamaican coach on the staff is Rowan Robinson, who, as I've said before, is, in my eyes, he's kind of currently like the godfather of Jamaica basketball. He knows everyone involved. He knows the players, he knows the coaches, the local coaches, the country coaches, knows the game well. He's played at the international level. He coached in the international level. It's a no-brainer to have him involved, and he's, along with his coaching duties, he's the player personnel guy. And so he's helping me identify, especially in, but he's been a key part in helping me get in touch with and identify guys that are playing internationally as well. So along with the coaching aspect of it, he's a player development guy. So that's the four Jamaican coaches that I'm currently working with in our program. And then I brought on 3 American consultants, one of which, if you followed the live stream early in the week, was Kyle Plank, who's been with me for 15 years working jump ball, and really knows Jamaica basketball really well. Great teacher, and really has the strength and conditioning component to go with that. And so really lucky to have Kyle, and he'll do a great job, as those of you that know him know already that he will do that. Russ Shaney is a guy who played 6 years in the NBA and then 6-7 years over in Europe, mostly in Italy. He was one of the top players in Italy for a long time, and has coached here in the States. And Russ came to Star Search with me this year, and he's has that unique ability because he's 6'10", but he played on the wing. And when he was at University of Washington, he coached the big men there. When he was with me at Bellevue College, he coached wings. And so his knowledge is really diverse, and he's going to be a guy that when given the opportunities to come down and contribute, is going to be extremely useful for kids in, I say kids, I mean everyone in the program, as far as development goes. And then finally, Omar Parker is a coach who we've worked together for many, many years. And I'm going to introduce you to him in one of these episodes for sure. But Omar is coaching high school basketball here in Seattle. He's coached college basketball, Boise State, Washington State, University of Missouri. He played professionally in Germany. His basketball resume is long. But all you have to do is spend about 30 seconds with him on a basketball court, and you know that this guy really, really knows what he's doing. I honestly think he's the best coach I've ever known or worked with. And it's not like I just, woke up yesterday. He's really good, knows what he's doing, and he was the one that really kind of got the basketball part of the jump ball program started 23, 24 years ago. So I'm anxious for all of you to meet Omar as well. And then as far as like the program goes, we want to do some things that I don't think have been part of the Jamaica basketball program. And a lot of those things are going to take some funding. We want to have a really rigorous strength and conditioning program. We want to have a great nutritional program for our guys. We want to have, some mental psychology training as well with some professional people and bring them in. We're going to do great video work, both with ourselves and with our opponents. And then, it just, at that point, comes down to identifying the right mix of guys. And so, what I've been doing over the course of the last few weeks, with the help of all those guys I've mentioned, and maybe even a few others, is I've tried to identify kind of the eligible, who are the guys that could be a part of this thing in terms of players. And again, getting into that group of threes, there's really a group of three. There's guys that are playing currently overseas who were born in Jamaica. And this is one of the things that I've talked to many players that some of them aren't grasping onto, is that FIBA recently changed the rules. So if you go back and you look at the 2013 Jamaica team that was really successful with Coach Vincent, they had a handful, if not more, guys who currently would not be eligible under the new FIBA rules. So we've identified and are continuing to identify a group of guys who are currently playing overseas who were born in Jamaica, that if they were good enough to make the roster, if they were in that final 12 or whatever it ends up being, there'd be no eligibility problems. The second group is the group of players who are playing overseas but have, I think what FIBA calls it is naturalized. They are, they have Jamaican heritage, maybe Jamaican parents or a grandparents or a mother or father or something. So they could be eligible, but the new rule is that you can only have one of those guys. So as you can imagine, if you put yourself in the shoes of the coaching staff, that roster spot, there's one available roster spot, that guy's got to be dynamite. And so we're trying to identify who those players are that could be a naturalized Jamaican, but will also make a large impact on the roster. You're not going to take a guy. There's no reason to take a guy as your naturalized player who's 9, 10, or 11 on the bench when that position could go to a Jamaican. So that's the thought behind that. Then the third group of players, which is probably many of you that could be watching this, are players that are currently in Jamaica that are, playing in the NBL or aren't playing anywhere currently or want to be playing somewhere or want to play for the national team, but you're living in Jamaica. Right now, I'm leaning on Rowan and Nyron and Coach Morgan and Sully to help me with that list. And I'm going to get down there as soon as I can to try to get to some games and see some guys. And we're developing that list currently. And so that's where the roster will come from. You can help us out by, if you want to be involved in it. I get a lot of emails from people that want to be a part of the thing. Most of them don't understand the rules. I get blown up with emails from guys who say, my mom's Jamaican, I want to play for the Jamaica national team. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's awesome, and I hope to continue getting those. But if you or someone that wants to be a part of this deal, you can feel free to email me at rick@jamaicabasketball.org. I'll let you know anything you need to know about the process. So let's see here. What else did I want to talk with you guys about? Style of play. From a coaching aspect, I certainly have my own personal philosophy and what I hope that we can do once we get a roster of guys together. I've used this analogy a lot. I'll try it again on you guys. If I wanted to have you come meet me in Seattle, and just talk hoops or talk about a roster spot or whatever, and I told you to be next month, May 10th, noon at the Space Needle in Seattle. And we were going to meet there. Some of you might fly to Seattle. Some of you might fly to Los Angeles and drive. Some of you might get in a boat and go down through the Panama Canal and back up and get there that way. Some of you might fly to Spokane and take a helicopter over. My point is, there's lots of different ways to get to that meeting on May 10th, noon at the Space Needle. And for me, none of those ways matter, as long as you're there. So sort of what I'm saying is it's not, for me, it's not really ever about the process, it's about the results. I think all of us, whether we're coaches or just in our everyday lives, have people we sort of look up to or emulate, or mentors, or for me, it's a guy that probably not none of you, but many of you haven't heard of. His name's Don James. And he was the football coach, and I mean American football coach, at the University of Washington. And he had a saying that was, don't tell me about the pain, just show me the baby. And that's kind of something that sort of struck a chord with me and sort of fit in my philosophy. And it was a saying that I really liked, because ultimately it doesn't matter of the whys and the excuses and just did you get the job done at the end of the day? Did you get it done? So yeah, if you're going to meet me on May 10th at the Space Needle at noon, I don't care how you get there, but just don't get there at 12:05. How that relates to our team and to the style of play, ultimately, I'm not really going to know what we can do, especially from the offensive end, until I get together with our guys and see who can do what. I can tell you what I hope to have. I hope to have a group that's long, can play end to end, really defend and create offense through defense. And the reason I say that is because as I look at the list of guys that we've compiled to this point, there's no guards. Everyone is, 7 feet, 7'2", 6'10", 6'6", 6'9", like there's not a lot of, especially point guards in that mix. So if we're able to kind of get a group of guys that can really defend and really be long and get in passing lanes and create offense through defense, that'll be pretty cool. I'm going to just answer a couple of questions here and hopefully get back. My boy Brad says, who's the greatest player to come out of Jamaica? I think that's an easy one for most. And I think the consensus there would be Patrick Ewing. Wouldn't we all agree there? And he's a guy that I'm trying to get a hold of, and maybe we'll try to get him on the podcast sometime. My new friend Teresa out in Champaign, Illinois. How many potential players for 2024 are currently in college? Let's see. Well, there's a bunch of Jamaican guys that are playing college basketball right now. There's 5 of them that are playing at a pretty high level of Division I. Teresa, your friend Kofi, as you know, Nick Richards, who we saw at the beginning of the live stream at Kentucky, Romaro Gill, 7'2", Defensive Player of the Year in the Big East at Seton Hall. I think he has a real shot to be an NBA player next year, to make a roster, certainly a G League roster. But the way the league is going right now, he can't step out and extend defense that way. But he is a rim protector, and I don't want to compare him to Rudy Gobert. That wouldn't be fair. But there's a similar sort of style there. Then there is Will Butler, was a senior this year at Alabama Birmingham, UAB, and 6'8" power forward, had a pretty good year for UAB. And a young man named Warren Williams played for the Manhattan Jaspers this year. So that's not excluding anyone else. There's guys that are playing at some Division II schools and some NAIA schools, and of course, all those guys have opportunities to compete for a roster spot and improve their game between now and then to put themselves in a position. But what's interesting about that question is that as soon as I got the job, I was thinking about the best international basketball teams, and how do we get to compete? And when you look at it, their rosters are full of NBA players, and generally speaking, they're in their late 20s, early 30s. They're experienced, really good, experienced basketball players. So to think that we would take a bunch of college guys immediately be able to compete, I think is not very realistic. But when you set a goal for the 2024 Olympics, which I think is totally 100% attainable for us, then that gives some time for guys to grow and mature and put themselves in a position. So that is that's pretty exciting. Getting back to style of play, if we're able to get up and down the floor and really get after teams defensively. My favorite coach is probably Frank Martin at South Carolina, and I love the way his teams play defense. And so, if we're able to come somewhere close to that kind of intensity from a defensive standpoint, then I think we'll be able to compete. But like I said, we need if you can't put the ball in the basket, then you're going to have problems. So we need some guys that can shoot it as well, and we need to find some guards somewhere. So, okay, I've been doing this long enough. It's like 45 minutes. I didn't think I could last like 15 minutes doing it. But before I wrap up, I just wanted to mention one thing. I hope you stick with this. I'm going to continue to try to post these over the course of the next few weeks and just try to continue to create awareness. I'm going to try to get people on the live stream. That's what I'm calling it, the live stream. I'm going to try to continue to get people on the live stream that are interesting, informative, entertaining. Some of them will relate to Jamaica basketball directly. Some of them just may be basketball people. Some of them may just be people that I find are interesting and have a story that is going to help us get better. And I think that's one of the things that I wanted to end with is the ability to just continue moving forward and finding areas of self-improvement during a time when we're all, I don't want to say prisoners, but we're all almost like prisoners in our own house. We certainly are discouraged from too much social interaction. So the question I have, that I have, especially to players, but it's really to everyone, what are you doing to better yourself during this time? And are you motivated for greatness? And I guess in some ways I'm directly speaking to anyone that wants to play as part of the Jamaica basketball program. Are you the type of person that can motivate yourself? Do you have the creativity to find ways to get better under this weird circumstance? And that's partly what motivates me to do these videos is just not wanting to rest, not wanting to take a day off, not wanting to continue to find ways to get better. And I don't know that I'm doing it, but I'm attempting to do it, and hopefully you are too, and you don't lose sight of the fact that this is not going to be forever. So we're one day closer to this thing being over, and so just keep moving forward and keep finding ways for self-improvement. I started doing this thing last week, and this is, I guess, the fourth one, and it's sort of weird how I was super excited about, well, I'll just put something out there for content, and we'll get Jamaica basketball in front of people, and we're not going to directly ask for money, but I've got the thing going down there and just create awareness, right? And the stuff you hear, or the stuff I hear, is why is your face so red? How come you're drinking water all the time? You need a better background. How come you had your guest on? I couldn't hear anything he was saying. It just like super critical of what this was, and not that I'm above criticism, certainly not. And that's kind of part of, you have to have some thick skin if you're going to be in the coaching profession. But for everyone that wants to be a part of Jamaica basketball, and I read the various comments, on different Facebook pages, or, there's a basketball JA site. And I guess it's sort of the nature, it's the reason I had to get off Twitter, because it was so toxic. But the nature is to criticize first and try to the fuss of what other people are doing first. And I'm just going to go back to what I said near the beginning of this thing. We want you involved. We want people involved with this program. And if you find yourself in a position where you want to hide behind a computer keyboard and tell us what we should be doing, I would just encourage you to reach out and ask how you can get involved, because we'd love to have you. We want you to be a part of it. We want to bring you along to it, because obviously if you're critical of the things that are happening within the program, then you care about it and you want it to be better, and we all do. So I just encourage you to reach out to me, rick@jamaicabasketball.org, and give me your suggestions. Tell me what you can do. Tell me how you think you want to be a part of it. And if your response starts with what's in it for me, or how much can I get paid, or what can I get, then maybe you need to rethink what your real passion is. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. 50 minutes, like I said, I didn't think I could do 10 minutes. So hopefully that was a little informative, but I'll try to be back on maybe Monday, hopefully Monday, and we'll have someone a little more exciting than me that I can talk to, and we can talk some more hoops or whatever, and just keep the name out there. So happy Easter. Enjoy tomorrow, and do what they're telling you to do, and we'll get done with this very, very soon. So long.